Before you reach for food to soothe yourself, try this. Use a pendulum to discover which emotion is really trying to get your attention. It's a quick and surprisingly accurate way of connecting with your inner self, and it only takes a couple of minutes. That way, you'll discover what's really behind your emotional eating so that you can do something different. I'm Chloe McCracken, a therapist and wellness practitioner. I help people to understand the wisdom of their body, to stop emotionally eating by understanding the emotions that are underlying that drive. And today we're going to be using a pendulum to do that, not as a way of fortune telling, but rather as a way of understanding your subconscious, of tuning in to your inner wisdom. A pendulum works through what we call the ideomotor response. So these are tiny, micro, unconscious movements created by your body when you focus on a particular question or something that you say. And it's a way of amplifying that inner response so that you can actually see it and understand it. In order to use this tool, all you need is a weight at the end of a string, so to speak. So necklaces are a great thing that you can use for this, and really any kind of necklace will do. It doesn't have to be metal, it doesn't have to be a crystal, it doesn't have to be anything in particular. It is just about a weight at the end of a flexible cord of some kind. And if you have an actual pendulum, that's great. And if you don't, I've even seen people do this with a paper clip and a piece of string. But I do think that it feels a little bit more lovely if you use something that you actually feel a connection to, that feels nice in your hand. The choice is yours. So to start, I always recommend holding the pendulum or whatever you're using over the palm of your other hand. And you can choose, do you want it to be in your dominant hand or your non-dominant hand? I don't think that it makes an especial difference because this is, as I say, just a way of amplifying the message from your unconscious mind. And so you hold it over your hand and relax your shoulders. Some people like to do it with their arm resting on something so that it's less of a strain, and that is absolutely fine too. Take a moment to take a couple of smooth, deep breaths, calming your body and calming your mind. And then the idea here is to name each of the emotions that might be underlying your emotional eating. I use an acronym of SABAS, which stands for stress, anxiety, boredom, anger, and sadness and shame. I think, though, that boredom quite often is more useful to break up into discouragement and lack of inspiration or perfectionism. But really, it's which things do you think are most likely to underlie your emotional eating? And you can ask about those, or just use all of the ones that I named. So, holding your pendulum over your palm, take a smooth, deep breath, and first of all, get your calibration. So, ask the pendulum to show you what it will do for yes. Then you can stop it again and ask it to show you what it will do for no. It can be different on different days, or you can have it fixed in your own mind, whatever feels better to you. And then you might also want to ask it for what would be a sign for maybe. And once you have that calibration, then you hold the pendulum still, relax your shoulders again, take another smooth, deep breath, and just say the emotion. So you might say stress. Then you could see how it responds and then stop the pendulum, say the next one. Anxiety. Stop the pendulum again. Ask discouragement. Stop the pendulum again. Ask loneliness. Stop the pendulum again. Ask anger. And stop the pendulum again. Ask sadness. And stop the pendulum. If you get a yes response to more than one emotion, then you may want to ask the pendulum, is this the emotion I should be dealing with first? And just name the 2 or 3 emotions that came up as a yes. If they all came up as a yes, then hey, you've got a bit of work to do, and you can still ask, which emotion should I deal with first? Stress, sadness. So today, my stress is uppermost. See what it is for you. And then you can, as a very quick win, just place your hands over your heart and say, I feel stress. Even just acknowledging it in this very quick way can already start to shift things and make a difference because you are honoring that emotion. It's quite possible for us to feel more than one emotion at the same time. And I sometimes talk to people about naming it as different parts that feel different emotions. That can be helpful because sometimes the emotions may seem counterintuitive or to conflict with one another. You could feel angry and also sad, and it might be slightly different parts of you that are feeling that. This is a way of diving deeper, and it's also a great way of then dealing with the emotions, because tapping on parts is one of my favorite things to do. And I will record a very brief short on tapping on different emotions in different parts, because that can be a really great way to start to ease both the part that feels strongest that you've discovered with your pendulum now, and also maybe to acknowledge the other parts, just as placing a hand over your heart and recognizing the emotion is already an important first step. So tapping on these different emotions or the different parts that are feeling different emotions can be an extremely effective way of lowering your reactivity, lowering that emotional response, so that it feels much easier to do something different than eating emotionally. It can be very important to acknowledge that we all have different parts. For example, you might have the part that wants comfort versus the part that wants to be in control. You might have the part that is feeling stressed and the part that is feeling sad, and they can come from different places. All of these parts are trying to share something important for you. And I think it's very important not to demonize any of them. For example, you may be less keen on the part that reaches for food for comfort, that wants some kind of comfort. And yet there is a reason why you're looking for comfort. And getting comfort in whatever way you have available to you can be really important for you to no longer feel so very bad. So although you can say, oh, that's the part that's driving me to eat, I want to give all the power to the part that is in full control, that's not realistic. And the more that you set them up to fight against one another, the worse the battle becomes. Whereas when you honor both of those parts and give each of them a space to exist and do something to help them be less reactive, then you are truly starting the path to healing. As I say, using a pendulum is not magic. It's just a way of focusing and listening to your inner wisdom. I hope that you found this helpful for discovering some of the emotions that are driving your cravings, so that next time that a craving rears its head, you could stop and use this. And then hand-to-heart acknowledge it, or do a very quick little bit of tapping. Please do subscribe to the channel to receive more information and tools to help stop emotional eating. And if you'd like to dive a little deeper, I have a free mini course to finally stop food noise with lots more information and quite a few different meditations of different styles to help you to actually make that a reality.